So you made your first set of dice and you polished them. Now what? Obviously those numbers are looking a little hard to read, so it's time to put some ink on them. If you have been with me since the beginning of my So You Want to Be a Dice Maker tutorial series, you are now ready to ink your very first set of dice. I posted a video on all of my social medias and asked people to choose what color I should use for this black sparkly set of dice. And the responses were so incredibly varied. I was only going to choose the top 6 colors, but I ended up doing 7 because purple and blue tied for last place. Gold and silver were by far the most popular choices. I really didn't think I was going to be sold on either of them for this set, but I do have to admit I started with the gold and I actually thought it was really, really pretty. I have to be honest with you all, I do not have all of the colors that people suggested. I don't have a lot of neon colors, for example, or any bright fluorescence. If I'm being completely honest with you, those colors are just not in my wheelhouse and I don't make a lot of dice that would be suitable for them, so I wasn't going to run out and buy all of those colors just for this video. I do want to take a minute and just explain what I'm doing here. So oftentimes when I cannot decide on a dice color for a set of dice I'm working on, I will choose all of the colors that I'm sort of floating around in my brain and put them on a single dice, like a D6 or a D8, for example. And once I have it on one face at least, I can sort of take a better look at the die and see if one of the colors is really popping out to me. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. The only difference is instead of colors I chose, these are all colors that were chosen by the chat in my various social media platforms and also right here on YouTube. I honestly don't know why I did this on a D6 when I knew that I was choosing 8 colors. I should have done it on a D8. I don't know what I was thinking, but you sort of see the process. I took all of the colors and set them aside, and one by one, I'm just putting a little dab on my makeshift palette. This is just a wood block because I didn't have any clean palettes, and I'm just putting a little bit on the face of the die, wiping it off with a coffee filter, and then seeing how it looks. Now, right here, I had the first 6 colors down, and just from this first pass through with these 6 colors, I knew I was not going to pick silver. Silver overwhelmingly had the most votes, and I just hated it. I thought it looked so flat and boring up against this black sparkly set, and I knew I wasn't going to go with that. Now, right here, this teal is the only color I chose. Only one person voted for it, and it was actually the color that I had planned. So I had to try it out and just see if my theory was correct, and I have it beside the purple, which came in last place. And I gotta be honest here, I went ahead and compared everything, all of the colors. I did really like the gold. I think the gold came in second in my mind, but I ended up going with the purple. I know it came in last place, but I just thought it looked so good. And a lot of the sparkles that were just naturally in this mica powder seem to gravitate to something a little more colorful. Like you can see shifts of teal and purple and maybe even a little bit of pink in there. So I had to go with the purple. I'm so sorry. I know it came in last place, but I gotta trust my instinct here. Now that the color has been selected, it is time to move on to the main topic of this video, which is how to ink your first set of dice. Now, I'm showing you on the D20, and I did 5 sides all at the same time and then wiped them off individually on this little coffee filter. This is actually a trick I picked up from my friend Kat over at Cultured Swine Dice, who also has a YouTube channel, and you should definitely check it out. But basically, she uses a coffee filter instead of a paper towel because it's less fibrous, and I definitely find that it works better. I don't always do it this way. A lot of times I'm actually super messy and just kind of slap the ink on and wipe it all off at the same time. But when I'm trying to be a little bit neater, a coffee filter is my tool of choice for removing that excess ink. The numbers on this particular mold that I used were actually quite shallow, and that is something that can be a blessing or a curse when it comes to inking. Sometimes the ink doesn't really want to stay if it's too shallow, but when the numbers are really deep, a lot of times you'll also need a second coat. This really worked out. It was kind of the perfect depth, and again, I do find that metallic ink goes in a little bit better, and I don't usually have to do a second coat as often. Your dice are finally inked, but they're a mess. There's ink everywhere. What do? There's actually quite a few things you could do. This method that I'm showing you is just my method of choice. It is not the only way that I remove ink from a dice. But what I have here is a little bit of LA Awesome. You can also use Windex. I've used that with great success. So if you have that a little easier on hand, that will work just fine. I take a strip of my white Zona paper and I do each face in a circular motion for about 30 seconds on every single side of every single dice. Not only does this remove any of that excess ink like you see here, it also gives it a second polish, which is great because sometimes I find that the inking process can dull the shine a little bit. Now, I've sped this video up for the rest of the sides, although I do love doing this on a D6 because it's so easy to just turn each side as you go and you're done without even thinking about it. I did mention there are some other ways you can remove the excess ink from your die. The one I actually started with when I first became a dice maker was I would use the standard strength isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. You don't want to use 91% isopropyl alcohol because that's too strong and it could actually weaken the bonds of your resin and make your resin go soft. So standard isopropyl alcohol, and I just used a Q-tip and I would wipe off every single side. The good thing about the Q-tip method is that you can see what you're doing while you're doing it, whereas the method I use with the Zona paper, it can be a little harder to see if you've missed anything, and a lot of times I do have to go back and do a second pass. You can also just put some cleaner or Windex or LA Awesome on a rag and just wipe it off that way. And this is the final set. I threw my macro lens on so you could really see it. Look at the sparkle in this mica powder. I actually think for such a simple set, these came out really stunning. And here is the most exciting part of this video. If you watched all the way until the end, I'm giving this set away and you can enter to win it right now. It's super easy. All you need to do to enter to win is make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and please leave a comment in the comment box below and tell me what other type of dice you'd like to see me make. If you don't know the actual names of any of the techniques, that's fine. Feel free to say something like, I want to see green dice. But I would love to know what you all want to see in this channel going forward so I can provide you with content that is the most interesting to you. The winner will be announced right here on my YouTube channel on my very next video, which will be posted Wednesday, April 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on my YouTube channel. That's it from me today. If you liked this video, please click like. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, feel free to leave me a comment with any questions you have about getting started with dice making.